Chris, let's start with some background. Where on earth is Azerbaijan on the map? And more importantly, why is this small country significant to the region and to the world?
The Caucasus is the roundabouts of Asia, if you like. You have the northern Russian influence, you have the southern Iranian and Arabic influences through Iraq and some of those. You have the western Turkic influence, and of course further east you go through the states, the Turkic states. That central location, obviously from a military point of view, is a very important one. For the American side, that's important. For the Russian side, of course, it's a buffer to different parts of the South and the Middle East, and also a very valuable oil resource. For that reason, for those geopolitical reasons alone, Azerbaijan has assumed a significance that is probably beyond its size and population.
What's the dominant religion in Azerbaijan, and has religion played an important role in shaping the country?
In the last several hundred years, of course, since Islam has held sway, it's formed and created that mindset that to be an Azerbaijani is to be a Muslim. Now, whether we would consider them very good Quran reading and understanding Muslims is another discussion and another question. But yes, as an ethnic cohesion point, Islam is a very important thing to the Azerbaijani people.
So is it an Islamic state, say like Iran or Saudi Arabia?
There is no Sharia law in Azerbaijan, and we have an elected government. We have a sense of being an Azerbaijani is a very important thing, as opposed to being, say, for example, a radical Muslim, which we would find maybe in other parts of the region around them.
There is a Christian presence in Azerbaijan. How many actually call themselves believers?
If we're talking about Christians from an Azeri Muslim background, our best guess is around about 10,000. There are, of course, other people groups. There's probably about 12 or 13 different people groups, even within the Republic of Azerbaijan. And there are, of course, some remaining Orthodox believers from the old Russian churches.
How does the government view Christians? Are they perceived as a threat to society?
Generally, I don't feel that the government in any way fear the Christian church in any sense, because a lot of what the Christians are doing, they know and recognize as very good. But, of course, these are elements that are not under their control. These are elements that they would consider to be foreign instigated, if not foreign backed, and that has resulted in some obstruction to registration, that has resulted in some issues, some imprisonings that have happened in the past.
In the 90s, Azerbaijan had a conflict with its neighbor Armenia. A lot of refugees created as a result of this conflict, and interestingly, the church stepped up to the plate to help and assist. Tell us about this.
Well, one of the verses from the Word that often was brought up from several different groups was from Jeremiah 29:7, which is, "Seek the welfare of the city where I sent you. Pray to the Lord on its behalf, because in its welfare is your welfare." And I think a lot of the new churches, the newer fledgling Christian groups, have really taken to heart this. And so, for example, if I was to tell you of new churches that immediately started helping in psychiatric hospital to bring food, to play games, to bring some kind of help to give them a respite from what was initially a very difficult time. There are several that have gone regularly to give out food and blankets, and even to do music concerts to the refugees to encourage them, and some of the believers have gone regularly to help to kind of lift the spirits of some of the people. Many things like food distributions, clothes distributions, prison visits, all of these things have been done and undertaken by various different churches and groups in Azerbaijan.
We talked earlier about the growth of the church in this country. Do Azeris like to share the gospel?
What we have seen is, of course, people by word of mouth, because it's a close family-knit community, will share their faith. There are other things, of course. There's a lot of internet ministry that goes on, some of it by satellite TV. There's also a phone-in. There are several, actually, different phone-ins where people call to an answer phone, and then they can be called back and they can share their faith with them. The churches, of course, that are growing, they have their own active people who go and try and share their faith. Some of them do it on the street, some of them do it just in a very natural way, visiting relatives, just sharing the good news they've received themselves. And in that way the church has been growing.